Hello everyone, and welcome to Twitch Tuesdays at the TRU Library. I'm your host, Ben Mitchell, the Outreach Librarian here at Thompson Rivers University. And we are also graced with the presence of Michelle Terrace, who is the Law Librarian there you can see in the chat. There you are. Good stuff. Well, hello. So just a little bit of a sense of how this evening is going to go. I just thought I'd talk a little bit about Final Fantasy XIV as a game, why I've chosen it, how I think it kind of relates to some topics in research. And then we might just run around and do some stuff, do some dungeons. I might take you on a tour. Final Fantasy XIV is a game that's world has a lot of different libraries in it. So there's actually multiple library dungeons, for instance. Oop, yeah. Oh yeah, multiple dungeons. So this right now here, is in the Crystarium. Stand up. And see my character. So one of the things you can be in Final Fantasy XIV is a scholar, which I thought was pretty cool. You get the little hat. You get to support your friends with books. I like supporting my friends with books. It's something I'm fond of doing. And yeah, it's a support class, so you're a healer. Now, good stuff. Now, one of the things that I think is really interesting, I'm just going to wander around, give you a bit of a sense. This library in the Crystarium is huge in Art Nouveau, not Nouveau or Art Deco. Either way, I like it. It's the size of this space. Yeah, one of the things I think is really relevant both to the themes of Final Fantasy XIV and just to research in general and just to life in general is how an ongoing topic, I guess, of it is hope. Hope is a concept. It's really telling how in all the different expansions in the game, something goes ridiculously wrong pretty well every expansion. I mean, I hope that's not too much of a spoiler alert. There's conflict in narratives. But even when you're doing short little side quests, invariably what you do doesn't work the first time around. And I don't know about you, but increasingly as I've been finding, going through the state of the world recently, my threshold for frustration is getting narrower and narrower. When something goes wrong, I just kind of become a little blob on the floor and have a hard time dealing with it. And one of the things I really appreciated about Final Fantasy XIV's narrative doing that is that, you kind of get acclimatized to, it's not going to work right the first time. There's also, there's multiple steps. Sometimes you have to step back and take a, stock of your resources, what you have going for you. And it's much the same way when you're doing research. Invariably, when you start off, you don't know what you don't know. And as you continue on, you will come across dead ends, false ends, eventually coming into, material that is actually really relevant to you. This is such a pretty place. I don't know. I guess this is less of a library section, but I love purple trees. It's pretty much a look. So yeah. The next place I'd like to take us to on our tour of libraries of Final Fantasy XIV is New Charlian, which is basically a kingdom of nerds, or scholars, itself in video game narrative. Here we go. Love how the music changes and they have the different Etheirites. It's also kind of set up like, I guess Greek is the model, perhaps ancient Greece is the model for a lot of the architecture here, if I'm wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of libraries here. Love being able to portal around places. The House of Learning, indeed. In this place, the House of Learning is called the Studium. Oh wait. No, it's not. What am I talking about? I played this game a fair bit, but my sense of direction is still bad. You can tell I played this game a fair bit because, I've leveled up a few things. This is kind of the sign of someone who's dealing with their stresses in a very particular way with all of those different things I've leveled. There we go, the Pneumanon. This is another just really lovely library space. And you get sent here a whole bunch, like a whole bunch of the side quests for like the crafting classes. You see here, you can be a carpenter, blacksmith, whatnot, miner, botanist. Actually involve helping out different faculties in this universities, whether it's the faculty of anthropology or aetherology, which isn't a real field in the real world, but in the game world is a field of study. So I thought that was just kind of really neat flavoring of the space. So yeah, this is another library. Just checking out the chat here. Oop. Only a few folks, but that's fine. We're hoping that this is an event that's going to grow over time. Like I said, this will happen every Tuesdays from 7 to 8 o'clock. And again, we can just hang out in the chat. You can ask questions. You can just, it's a place to be. I don't know about you, but I like being able to hang out in virtual spaces and just, appreciate virtual landscapes. And events. So on that note, if there aren't any opening questions, I guess I will try doing the Haunted Library dungeon. Now it's been a little bit since I've played Scholar as a class. As I mentioned, it's a healing class. Unlike some of the other classes, you actually have the help of a fairy, which I like to think of as a cataloging fairy, who helps you do your healing. There she is. And so let's go into the dungeon. It's in an older one, actually. I think the first Great Gubal Library, it was actually in the first expansion to Final Fantasy XIV called Heavensward. Built by the learned men and women of Sharlayan, the Great Gubal Library is the grandest repository of knowledge in all of Eorzea. Lining its towering shelves are tomes beyond count, gathered from the farthest reaches of the realm. Like the city-state, however, the library was abandoned by its caretakers when they fled to the motherland in the face of Garlean invasion. And now, 15 years since its doors were sealed, you will be the first soul to set foot within its halls. Your destination is the forbidden section deep within the library, and there lies your objective, the fruits of Matoya's research on the Etheric Converger. So let's go in, shall we? Oof. Now, one of the things about the game is that it has queue times, so this is actually probably going to take a little bit of time. The Great Gubal Library, that's a very different library, and also they're both a little bit evil, so that is valid comparison. I have been known to splur my slurs on occasion. And while we're waiting here, let's see, what other libraries can I find in the game? Dupe. Let's see. The Old Owl. Ooh, I think they have a library. I think it's full of black magic. It's also kind of, one of my favorite libraries. That's the law library. Oh my. Yeah, actually one thing too that you have to look forward to, Michelle has offered to participate as playing some games as the law librarian. Oh, there we go. And the dungeon popped. All right, I will put a pin in that and get back to you. We are going into the Great Gubal Library. Let's see if I remember how to heal. My fairy is up. I make my customary hand-wavy gesture. Doop. That would work too. Yeah. I get kind of the scholar just kind of like their area of effect attack is just them like smacking the ground. Oh yeah. That's what like literacy enables you to do, right? Stretch metaphors. Yeah, smart person tantrum. Smack. Alright, let's do that shield. Oof. You can see some of the enemy names. When you're not running in a party, you can actually sit down and read some of the books in this library as well. But I think that would be rude to my tank to just stop and do that to them. Like, oh, sentient inkhorns. And the little kind of mimic books, I get a kick out of those guys, the little bookish teeth. Indeed. Oh yeah, very much so. People having a role to play. And people getting distracted while trying to do that role. That's that's also something, as I try to dodge area of effect attacks. Alrighty, Bookman. Hello. Book Demon. Literacy is fun, everyone. Uh-oh. I'm so slow. Oof. Now get through there before he blasts you. Go, 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 go. I'm slowed. There we go. Phew. Because that's a one-hit kill attack. Keep on your toes. Tumbleweeds in particular. Yeah, I do that. Words of winter. Let's heal up everyone. Aha, I didn't get slowed down for that one. Oh, I mean, I still got hit in the face though, so I guess that's not perfectly flawless. Ah, the ice. Ah. Okay, there we go. Phew. I always get turned around. Are we through the book? Yes, we are going through. Ah. Doing this while narrating is an extra level of challenge. Gremlins in the library. You will sometimes find that there are gremlins in the library. I can't actually fully read your comment there right now, but I will get to it. Yeah, that's right. Distracting. Oh, the camera. Sometimes your biggest enemy is the camera angle. Agreed. Spine Duster. Page 64 is also my enemy, apparently. Nope, I yelled him a little bit too early. Attention to the baddies. Oof. Nope. Oop. Yeah. It plays that fanfare when you get an item sometimes. One of the things I think interesting also about the Scholar as a healer is that it's also like a shield healer, so it's more proactive than other kinds of healers. So I mean, you know, it's the whole like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it's also why it can help to plan ahead when working on research projects. I don't know. You know, as I mentioned when I talked to like students about their interlibrary loans, is like you really need to be planning ahead to get the most out of that system. Oh, forbidden tones. Oh yeah. I don't think I can make a research-related metaphor about broiling things. Except, I guess tea goes good with research? I don't know, I'm trying. He's gonna go there. Oop, get hit by a tail. There we go. Oh, and don't do this to our books. We had a plumbing issue that did this to our books. Just don't do this to our books. Indeed. Oh wow, that sad face is intense. Oh yeah, one thing too, I mentioned that area of effect attack is called the Art of War, which is actually a reference to an old Taoist strategy manual by the writer Sun Tzu, which is a bit of a literary reference contained within the character abilities. There's a lot of really interesting kind of like subtle but deep dive references in this game, which I appreciate. Back into that. Oh yeah? What's that? Oh yeah, the business books also, yeah. All the Art of War. Yeah, it's kind of become like a, I'm strategically minded. Oh really? I've never heard. Interesting. Is that better or worse than the whole, like, something for dummies naming convention? Oh, I see. That's one thing, right? So when you're finding that you're getting a lot of different hits that aren't relevant to you, there's a Boolean function you can use in your catalog searching, just called uppercase NOT, to try to filter things out. But yeah, no, it might still not entirely help you in that situation, but it's a tool at your disposal. Let's try to do a better job. Oop, there we go. Alrighty, on to the last boss of the Great Gubal Library, normal mode. Dramatic fanfare increases. He kind of reminds me of this old Disney film where there were book characters, the ever-living bibliotaph. But yeah, he's gonna summon demons at us. Does he have little spectacles on too? Oh, no, wait, no, those are nose rings? What's he got going on in his face? Now, timing, just everyone needs to stand into those circles once to make sure he doesn't summon baddies at us. Problems for other people, so I'm going to put myself in the corner here while that hits me. Oop, okay, now we need teamwork again. Every two people need to stand in the circles. Go, go, go. And there we go. And stopped. Yeah, that's also true. It's not always a given that they will use Boolean operators. Oop, trying to get out of that. Oop, that's something for everyone. It's a bigger one because we need 3 people. Oh, never mind. Oof. Finished them off. Give a player commendation, which is another nice thing I like that you can do in Final Fantasy XIV. You can like let people specifically know that you think they did a good job, which I think is just good manners and another thing for group work. Alright, let's actually look at the chat for a second here. What have you folks been up to? Vegeta memes on Tumblr. Oh my, yep, no, it can be a rabbit hole. The demons are limiting him. Indeed. But speaking of synonyms then, yeah. Oop, there's also, how did I end up here? Oh yeah, that's how I ended up here. Oh, there must be some event, because like there's also like holidays in Final Fantasy XIV, and there's like these things are new. They're just kind of nice ways of decorating the House of Black Magic, the Temple of Thal. Yeah. I don't know, there's just, books are a very prominent theme in the game. Like this is kind of like a temple library, incense. This is nice that this library has incense, but our library is a scent-free environment. So please try not to be smelly in our library. Like chemical smells. I mean, you can't help. Anyway. Phew. Yeah. Alrighty. And one of the neat things too is there's not just one Great Gubal Library. There are 2. It can get even more haunted. The Great Gubal Library Hard. The description. Your reputation clearly precedes you, as a mysterious client would call upon you, and you alone, for the formidable task of retrieving a particularly rare volume from the deepest, most forbidding halls of this long-abandoned storehouse of Charlayan wisdom. Though the mind boggles to imagine what eldritch horrors and sorcerous abominations now wander its halls, one thing is certain: they are not like to take kindly to the presence of a warm-blooded, would-be book burglar. Let's see what the haunted version is like. More haunted version. One of the things I also really appreciate about like the dungeon design in Final Fantasy XIV is that there are like, you know, there's narrative reasons for being everywhere. That there's little snippets of conversation to be had about it. Yeah, cherry blossoms. This is festive. I guess so. I don't know, it seems kinder than the librarians in Welcome to Night Vale. I guess they're also eldritch horrors. Oh yeah, there's another book place I can go to while we're waiting. To the land of the fairies. Oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of little wonderful things to fly around on too, which is something I appreciate. Like yeah, who wouldn't want to fly around on a giant manta ray? It's just really majestic. This is where actually like one of your characters are, right? Yeah, no, it's really lovely. And like just the design of the architecture, like what is even going on here? I don't know, but I'm loving it. Would this be Art Nouveau? It's kind of organically themed and the windows are all fancy. This is actually where it's called the Bookman Shelves. This is actually where I took one of the pictures for the advertisements that I've been posting. And again, it's just a chill place. It has story reasons for being here too. One of the things I appreciate about it as well is, oh there it is that like the narrative has a magic system that has its own really elaborate, you know, metaphysics to it. And they use a script that is like, you can kind of read it. It's like, this is the elements, but it's also kind of made to be hard to read. Oop, oh, and there we go. It's popped. Let's go to the Great Gubal Library hard. And again, once more, make sure I try not to kill our party. Oop. Sky Casella. Here, have some shields. Oop. Even more haunted. Yeah, the thing about like dungeon design is that they usually do wall-to-wall pulls, so there's a lot of running and trying to keep up in these games. Alright, this is where you usually stop. Heal. Oop, try not to get laser-eyed. Which is what happens if you stare at a screen too long. That's, As a classic, The Boy and the Dragon Gay. I have a friend who always tries to read that book every time they go through this dungeon. It's hard to do it well. running to keep up with the rest of the group. Group, heal for you. Group, try not to stand into the dark. Give you a bit more attention. Oop, I was a bit slow. Oh, I got punched in the face. Oh, ripples of gloom, ripples of gloom. There we go. Oh. Alrighty. But wait, haven't we already fought this boss? Oh, he's been remixed! Folio. Oop, I don't want to get hit by a book. Oof. It's really dramatic. Books and books and more books. See, this is why we use ebooks, because physical books are heavy. Oh, there we go. Oop, not too soon. Please don't stay in the fire, Mr. Tank. I'd much rather you be easier to heal than that. There we go. Knock them up. There we go. There we go. Everyone's okay. The first rule of the library is don't stand in the fire. First rule of really most things. Oh, there we go. Racing. Throw down a shield on it. Here you go. Indeed. There's a lot of little books. Oh. This is what they call information overload. Oof. Drink. Liquid flame. That's what happens when you spill your tea on yourself when studying. seen that coming. But I didn't see that coming. Wait. Oh, nope, still doing it. Okay, come on. There we go. And you. Not too bad, is it? And yes, burnout. Yes, that's the. Oh, that's a theme. Which is all the reason why it's more important to make sure that you're healed to full. Before it mutates. Oh wait, what does this do again? Okay, I think this one ejects. Oh, there's plus and minus, negatives and positives. Yeah, there we go. Haha. That's how magnets work, sort of. There we go. Alrighty, one more boss to go here. I really like some of the lighting effects. Oop. I don't know what frogs have to do with the library. They're just fun. Water damage related. Aye, that's a thing. And look at all how the books are all chained up around us here too, right? There's certain places, I think like certain parts of the Bodleian Library in the UK still have chained stacks. Oh, I need to actually see that a little bit more attentively. Plus my own health. Indeed. Alrighty, crisis averted. Oh, there we go. See, this is a paywall. You don't want to put up with paywalls. That's what these things are here. Find a way around it. Right? Who likes paywalls? No one likes paywalls. That's what interlibrary loans are for. There we go. See, we got rid of them. The power of interlibrary loans. Failure of aesthetics. Yeah, if you're going to be persnickety about it, you might as well make it a mood. Uh-oh. Want to get magic hammered. Being hammered does not help you study, believe me. Alright, the final boss of this dungeon. The Strix, who is also powered by knowledge. Look at those little books. I'm a big fan of just things floating around people. Oh, he's checking books out. These are the perfect volume for us. It's kind of ironic because he does check out the perfect volume. On the properties of quakes, we need to get up here so that we don't get wrecked. Oof. Isn't that thoughtful? A true librarian will help you find the right resource, even if you're trying to defeat them with it. I don't know, maybe that's some professional law. Properties in darkness. I forget what I'm supposed to do there. Tornadoes. Tornadoes? I think this makes me heavy. Yes? Heavy? Lead. Yeah, there we go. Oh, well, maybe he didn't read his book. Is there a budget line for that? Oh no, I'm an imp! I'm an imp! I'm a little bit imp! I'm vulnerable to lightning. No, I'm not. They call that imposter syndrome. And, you're doing great. Oof. Reading is radical. Let's try not to get hit by a rock. See? Let's try not to get hit by a rock. We can do this. Come on, folks. Go, 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 go! Haha! Boost of our player commendation, tank, user, personal. There we go. So yeah. For those of you who are like new to or like massively multiplayer online RPGs in general, generally there's a lot of the activities are group oriented. There's a healer who, I mean, helps make sure people stay alive. There's a tank who kind of gets all the baddies' attention. And then there's usually other kinds of players who are called DPS, or damage per second, where they're trying to just deal as much damage to the enemies as they can so that the enemies can hurt you, can't hurt you as much. And I don't know, that's just kind of a good example of, like kind of like chunking out a task into certain specific small sections so that everyone can kind of do what they're good at so that you can bring it together to finish your project. Alrighty. So those are the two library-themed dungeons. Next time I'd like to go to a place that is actually kind of 3D printer themed, because I mean, I think it'd be a good way to support the makerspace. Let's see. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I admit, usually I play the astrologer, or astrologer? Astrologian, that's right. But, yeah. But yeah, there's so many things we can do. If there's certain places you'd like me to go in Final Fantasy XIV, or if there's another game that you think would be entertaining to like have a librarian play while chatting, or if you think it just has themes that are relevant to your field of research or a project that you're working on, feel free to suggest things to us as well, that we do take suggestions. Do we have enough time for something else? 15 minutes. Let's see. How many of you actually play Final Fantasy XIV? Am I like explaining this to the void? Raids are too long. Trial might be right. You never have before? I think it's pretty fun. Which other Morpg did you play? So? I played a few in my time. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did mention it. That goes way back. I played it a little bit, but I never like... I played Acheron's Call, if you're familiar with that one. That was my gateway into Morpg's. How do people feel about olds. We are both olds. It's true. Right, well, but there's not the only kind of library. There's also digital collections. Let's try for... Oh, do we have time for this? Oh, sure. Let's see if we can get this in. This is the Fractal Continuum, which is from, again, the Heavensward expansion, in the flying city of Azizla, which is kind of like a technological series of laboratories and research institutions. In a particular case, we're entering a museum of Allagan technological creations. Allagan is an ancient empire in the Final Fantasy XIV world, one that was quite technologically advanced. And there's a common theme in a lot of media of these kind of like ancient wonders, where the ancients were more advanced than the moderns are. And particularly in Final Fantasy and Squaresoft series. This one has a pretty upbeat soundtrack too. I love the music in these games. Alright, and after this we're probably going to call it quits, but, you know. Oop. Fractal Continuum. Doing some techno. There are several galleries and like spaces around Thompson Rivers University. They do not have teleporters in them, however. But they do have plaques. I don't have time to read that, unfortunately. They have these things in these, right? No. Yep. No, don't take me. This is navigating tech support sometimes. No, tech support's really nice. I don't mean to besmirch the name of tech support, but trying to sort out tech issues can be intimidating. It's not always a librarian's forte. But yeah, so much of what our holdings are actually digital rather than physical. There's a lot of the romance of the book in librarianship, which I think is great too. I think I get tired of looking at a screen sometimes, which might be surprising considering how many levels I have in this game, but it does happen. And in fact, the vast majority of our holdings are digital, contained in ebooks and the databases that you have access to through our library website. I like reading the panels when I'm a tourist, but I don't want to let my teammates down. I can't think of a good metaphor for this guy. Multitasking. Multitasking can be bad? Yeah, that's it. I'm going with that one. Oh my. I say multitasking can be bad as I'm trying to multitask. Oh yeah, you know, I never actually watched that movie. Uh-oh, that's a lot more things on the ground than I was expecting. That's why my parents called me Ben, named me Ben. That's not true at all, but still. Yeah. Of course I know him. He's me. One of the things I like about the fairy is that she does passive healing, so I don't even have to mash buttons to get some healing into my friends. Which is to say, whenever you can kind of automate something, by using Microsoft Word more effectively, or if you really want to get good at using a citation manager, it can be really helpful to automate some processes if it's possible, but they don't entirely make up for human oversight, because while the fairy tries her best, the AI is kind of limited. Where'd our tank go? Tank? CJ Sins, where are you? CJ Sins? Maybe I have time to read this plaque now. What do you have to say? The Mirror Knight, a second-generation construction boasting the strength of a bear and the acute vision of an owl. With many early efforts at synthesis, lack of intelligence, and a proclivity for violence limits its practical use. Did I do that? Okay, This also happens when sometimes a key party member is absent. Oh, I didn't see that. There we go. All right, and we're back to it. I might actually go through this dungeon just to read all of those panels someday, but not today. Yep. I'm paying attention. I'm definitely paying attention. I'm definitely paying attention. Oh my. Alright, this is where we stop. That's where I put the shield. That's where I heal. That's where I heal. Ow. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Getting a little dicey. Oh. Oh, bracing. Also, resource management is important. I ran out of my little Aether crystals, so my healing ability is much more limited. Ah, didn't see you there, friend. I was too busy looting your museum. Again, not necessarily best practices here. There we go. One of the classes is a bard, which actually helps inspire people and gives them bonuses and benefits. I find that it can be good to have a nice, like, study or writing playlist to help me work when I'm fighting minotaurs. Oh wait, this guy has a trick to him too. If they don't know the trick, they might get smushed. Let's see. No, that's good. I'm glad. Oof. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, he gets lots of aggro there. No, I'm glad that you're answering questions. Okay, this is the big trick. So, like, is something supposed to push? Where do we push it? We push it here. There we go. Something gets his attention. And instead of smushing us all, he eats it. I believe you. Let's try the other way. There's so many interesting elements of game design that like feed into a lot of life skills in terms of, you know, like the use of space, the use of timing. I follow a video essayist named Noah Caldwell-Gervais, and he's always talking about like the verbs and adjectives of game design and like designing things in time and like, you know, talking about a game experience as a conversation or as a, you know, as a theory. You're trying to prove how it starts and how you support it and then how you conclude it. And how you run away from the robots in it. Just basically just like essay writing. I don't know where I'm going there. Oh wait. I love how this game is just willing to throw you just like right off into the distance. Whoosh. Yeah, I mean that is true, right? Yeah, like the way a space is designed encourages or inhibits certain kinds of use patterns. And that's just as much in virtual spaces as it is in real spaces. And I think actually it's an interesting, Final Fantasy XIV is an interesting example of that because it tends to be, because of some of the designs put into it, a bit of a more use-social or like pro-social video game experience than say World of Warcraft was. I say as someone who did play a favorite of World of Warcraft and like, it was a particular time of life. You know, even just like little things, right? Like the way that it lets you kind of commend a player if you think did a good job at the end of the run. Just those like little things that encourage certain kinds of behavior. Fling! Wee! That will never not be entertaining. I'm stuck. There we go. I was only a little bit lazy. I was only a little bit more than a little bit lazy. And my helpful fairy will top me off. There we go. Time to get flung to the end. Whee! Reality augmentation bay. Which is basically what a video game is. Need to do that. Shield for you. Looks kind of like a curator. I've been a curator before. I didn't look like that when I was a curator. All these, you know, impossible body standards that are just hard to live up to. I think those guys explode. Oh, this VR headset, yeah. Have any of you tried them out? Because the VR headsets in the makerspace are like pretty dramatic. Oop, those are going to be bad to stand on too. See, one of the interesting, you're talking about design space, right? Like, the way that Final Fantasy XIV actually advertises, like, the kinds of attacks that baddies are going to be doing at certain times, allows for a certain kind of combat, or kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for, like, coordination, or, where you don't even necessarily have to know the fight. You can kind of get a sense of the things you don't want to touch, or do want to stand on, or don't want to stand on. Oof. Ow, I forgot he knocked you back. There we go. Almost got him. Almost got him. Oof. Oh wow, he almost blew up our tank. But we're fine. Everyone's fine. There we go. Blink. Alrighty. Oh yeah, don't forget to give a player commendation to Dennis. I like music. I'll commend the bard. Well, and to be try to be polite, I guess. I didn't say that to anyone. The game. There we have it. Oh, I got all 3 player commendations, despite the fact that I was a little distracted. But that's part of the point too. I was trying. But alright, yeah. This brings us to 8 o'clock. Yeah. If you enjoyed this, please feel free to tell your friends about us, other students at Thomson Rivers Universities or other folks. The more the merrier. We're always happy to answer research questions or to just hang out. Again, a reminder that these videos will be posted to YouTube, just for other students to kind of get a sense of what we're about, and to share the experience more broadly. I'd like to thank you all for coming out to the first Twitch Tuesdays at the library, and look forward to potentially seeing you next week. Good night, everyone.